Hi, beautiful, powerful people of the world. I am excited because we are going to have our business seminar very soon. And one of a brilliant man that I've just met is actually with us today. He has such a heart for people, and his humility exudes him. And so, none other than Mr. Hugh Marquis. Say hi to everybody, Hugh.
Hi, Ruth. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure being with you.
I know you bring me so much joy. You, I feel like you're such a giant, and in your heart, you're such a giant. It's just anyway, that's what you exude. But
Thank
what
you.
we're going to talk about is completely different than that. Um,
Awesome.
but first and foremost, I really want people to know who you are. You, so if you could just go and give us, what happened in the shift of your life. Who was you before? What happened? Give us a little bit of your testimony of how you met Jesus.
Sure. Well, first of all, I'm married. My wife's name is Jane. We've been married 33 years. Now,
Wow.
next to my relationship with Jesus, that's the most important relationship. We have three beautiful children: 31-year-old daughter Breanne, a 29-year-old daughter Savannah, and 25-year-old son Owen. And we have one grandson, Breanne's son. His name is Roman. So, first and foremost, we're talking about beautiful, powerful people. Well, my family is a beautiful, powerful people. So, yeah, it's quite funny.
Well, you are in the right place.
Yeah. How I met Jesus was really interesting because I grew up in a household that had no faith whatsoever. There was on either side of the family, there was no mention of God. There was nothing in any of it. And the first time that I ever went into a church, because I'd walked past churches, they look like nice buildings. First time I ever went into a church, I was 14, and I only went into the church because there was a girl I was trying to go out with, and she said, if you want to go out with me, you need to come to church with me. And I said, well, how hard could that be, right? So I turned up into this church, and it was a CRC, Christian Revival Centre, in the middle of the 70s. So a very happy, clappy, swinging from chandeliers, loud music, crazy. That's my first experience in a church. I walked in and thinking, I've just entered a cult, because I had no idea, no frame of reference. I've entered a cult. And I thought they're going to take me as a sex slave. And at 14, I didn't know whether that was good or bad. So, it was like, anyway. I'm about 8 feet inside the church, and I hear an audible voice. So you've got all of this music, all this stuff, and I hear this audible voice that says, you will build businesses that will change the world and bring many to me. All right, so I was in fear because I didn't know what to do. So I did what any 14-year-old would do. At that stage, I ran. I ran from God, I hid from God, and I didn't want anything to do with him. So for 13 years, being a very prideful young man, I knew there was a God. I just thought it was me.
Wow.
An ego.
14.
At 14, well, I ran, so up until 27. And 27, I was invited to a church service from a business seminar. My brother said, hey, come to this church service. I said, that's okay. You can have your God. I don't need God. I don't need anything to do with that. I'm okay. Thank you. And he said, well, all the leaders are going to be there. I was, well, okay. So I went, and they did a Sunday morning. People were telling their stories, their testimony, how Jesus made a difference in their life. And they did an altar call at the end that said, if your palms are sweaty and your heart's beating, now literally my heart's out here, beating way, way out here, and I've got rivers of living water coming out of my hands. They said, come to the front. Well, no, I chose to leave again. I said, well, they're just trying to con me, and tried to leave. 6 months later, we were back at a business seminar, and we went again into the Sunday morning, but I took other people with me and I told them what was going to happen, and there'll be good stories and they'll do this. And I said, but when it comes to that time, we'll all just get up and leave. That's what I planned. People told the story, they did their things, and I would went to get up to leave, again, heart beating, palm sweaty, and I have no idea what happened, but I found myself at the front of an auditorium of 5,000 people, giving my life to Jesus. I looked to my right, and my wife, Jane, gave her life on the same day. She's standing right next to me. She said she knows she was physically picked up and taken down to the front. And 6 months later at that business seminar, we were leading the Sunday morning services. So
Go figure, guy. Go figure.
God has his way of doing things.
So you, did you know that God called you in the business? Because
Yeah.
you knew, because somehow you understood who God is when you were already married, and so therefore, did that actually merge somehow, or?
Yeah, God called me to business. He said that at 14. He said, you'll build businesses that will change the world and bring many to me. That was the first thing I knew of God, was those words. He's an audible voice, and I ran because I was scared. You know, I felt like I should have found a whale and hidden in a whale or something. I don't know.
Oh, wow. You heard the voice of God telling you, you're going to be in business.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I think we're going to go and pray for that, for an impartation, so that people who are in business need to go and hear God. The
Sure.
same way. So
Yeah.
were you, so how did it go that when from 14, from 14, you knew that God called you for business? Did it actually occur to you that you're actually doing the business that God called you for, or how did that happen?
Sure. And we, from 14, I ran my own businesses. We'd always run our own business. And I think I've worked for somebody else for maybe 2 months of my life. Right?
Wow.
And we'd run businesses. We'd done that. But I just was full of pride and didn't think that, one, I didn't think God loved me. Two, I didn't think he knew me. And three, I didn't think I needed him.
Mm-hmm.
And all of those things were wrong. He absolutely loves me. He adores me, right? He needs me and I need him. And so, yeah.
Understood. I mean,
Yeah.
running a millions of dollars business that you have right now, how is it that did you have like ups and downs?
Oh, really?
Just in case you're perfect.
Yeah, no. Yeah, we absolutely had ups and downs. We had ups and downs in the business. We had ups and downs, and we had ups and downs. Jane and I had ups and downs in our marriage. But in the business world, the ups and downs were generally caused by me. The mistakes, the flaws, the things that I needed to fix. I was an angry man, and I would lose my temper. And I had to learn that isn't the way that God actually made us. He says it's okay to get angry. He says, get angry, but do not sin, which means don't open your...
Get angry?
Yeah, figure, right? And so, I made mistakes in business. I made mistakes with things that we were doing.
Right.
Being a Christian, you don't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
which is really good, because we can then go, well, okay, there was only one perfect one. That's fine, and we will make mistakes.
Yeah.
We will make mistakes, but that's why we need each other. Yeah. That's why we need people around us to help us walk through those mistakes, to help us be the better version of ourselves.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Did you ever have a time in your life when you thought, I really don't want to be in business?
Oh, well, nearly every day. No, there are always days like there are, I know one day that our business, we had a tech company and we'd grown nearly 100% in 3 weeks. And that wasn't from a small base. And there's all sorts of pressure that comes through that. And we had a couple of hundred staff. So the pressure that came through, I felt responsible for our staff. I felt responsible for their well-being, and some of those pressures, days you go, some days I want to hide. And you look at the business world right now, in this season that we're in right now, it's a very difficult time. But there's also a time of learning in this. It's like, well, God, what do you want to be in this season?
Yeah.
And to me, he's just been peace all the way through, just this wonderful peace all through this season. And it's like, well, there's nothing for us to be concerned about, but it's a way for us to learn how to do things differently, because he has a plan for business. And it's an extraordinary plan. It's the extraordinary thing of what he wants to do through the business people. He wants them to prosper. He wants them to create income streams that will prosper and benefit all of society. Actually, he told me that when I was writing my book, those words, that the purpose of business was to create income streams that would prosper and benefit all of society. That's why we're in business. It's not just about a selfish thing of, can I have a nice car or a nice house and a nice plane? All of those things are fine.
Right. But do you think there's always a problem with, poverty mentality?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Look, I struggled through that after, I wasn't a Christian when we started businesses. I became a Christian. We started tithing and giving money and learning financial principles, godly kingdom financial principles. And then, God says, on top of that, I want you to be generous. I want you to be abundantly generous. And it was funny. I was sitting in Mozambique, and we were having a conversation late at night after helping plan for some villages and how do we create some businesses. And I used the word, we need to create sustainable businesses, right, that would outlive us and outdo things. And God woke me at 2 o'clock in the morning and said, Hugh, where do I talk about sustainable in my word, in the Bible, in this thing? And I thought, just hearing his tone of voice, I thought, well, obviously you don't, but I'll have a look and see if he, and he doesn't. He doesn't talk. He said, what do I talk about? And he said that we would be abundant and we would prosper in all things. He said sustainability is a poverty mentality, because if you've only just got enough to sustain, you haven't got enough to bless and prosper others.
Mm-hmm.
So he's calling us to be a blessing to others. And he wants our teapot, for want of a better word, to be totally full. And out of the overflow, the blessing runs into other people.
Mm-hmm. Do you believe that everybody should be in business?
No.
Or is it just a different wordings? So I feel like everybody is like, even ministries actually, if you look at it, there's always like this way of handling it. The church is this way of handling it, and then business way of handling it. How do you merge that all together?
Let me answer the first question. Should everybody be in business? No. If you look through Romans 12:2, it says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And then 12:3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and on says what that renewed mind looks like. And it talks about that we all have different parts to play in the body. We've all got different things to do and different callings, but we all need one another.
Right.
Right. There are wonderful pastors and ministers. We need them. There are wonderful business people. There are wonderful people in government. And there are mums and policemen and police women and wonderful business women out there. So all of it combines to create a society.
Okay. All right.
So, but yeah, there are ways to run a business that is kingdom. And, there are processes and things that we need to do in business, and there are ways that the world teaches, and there's ways that God teaches.
Right.
And I prefer to use God's way.
Show us what God. Give us a typical example of God's way in Hugh's life.
Okay. Well, the premise around it is that I believe that the way the world teaches business is based on greed, fear, and corruption and self-interest.
I was that's in his book.
Yeah, but God's way is about caring, sharing, and helping everyone be prosperous. Mm-hmm. So, God, in my world, we were doing a building fund for church, and we were asked to lead off the building fund, which we did, and we were just talking to a group of people. And as we're talking, and we'd given a significant commitment of what we would be funding. As I'm talking to people about being generous, Jane comes up from the side of stage and says, "Can I have the mic?" And she said, "As I'm sitting here listening to you, darling, I hear God say that we need to double our commitment." Now, I nearly choked on that because it was like, what? Really? Anyway, I listened to my wife. She sounds very much like the Holy Spirit.
Like all wives are.
Right, yeah, and we did that. We paid that commitment, which was a significant sum of money. The day after, we got a contract that had more profit in it than what we gave away.
Wow.
The day after, it was like crazy. God said, "Just trust me in this." Because I've learned you can't outgive God.
No. And isn't it amazing, you, that, in the business, that God's business mindset is totally different from ours. Oh my gosh.
Totally. And in God's mindset, there's no self-interest.
No. And you know what? He always pushes you to the limit. You try me.
Yeah.
You try me on that one. Oh yeah, there's no way that's gonna happen. Oh, watch me.
Yeah, exactly right.
I love the God we serve.
Yeah.
Oh, I love the God we serve. But there's a lot of people that are really worn out in business. Especially now. They are very, very discouraged because there's no income.
Yeah.
So how can you encourage them, you?
Well, the encouragement I'd give is in the book of Genesis and the story of Abraham. Abraham had just gone out to war, taken 300 men and gone out to war and battled and done things. So there were injuries and hurts and pains and all sorts of calamity. But he gathered the 300 and he looked at them because he called them all his family, right? And so he said, well, what are the income, where can we develop income streams from family? And they developed 7 income streams from within inside the family. So in this time where things are difficult, I reckon it's a time of creativity. I reckon it's a time of seeking the Lord and saying, well, is there something I need to change or need to do differently? Have I been focused on the wrong things? How do you get creativity? One of the ways he showed me for creativity is I asked him 3 questions. God, what do you want me to fund? How much do you want me to fund? And what are we going to do together to make that happen?
Yeah.
Because if you get a dream that's bigger than yourself, God gets right behind that.
Right.
So he knows what's going on, but he's asking us to reset at the moment. He's asking us to say, well, seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all those other things get added. Right. So if you can live there, there's a peace. And to the people that are struggling and are struggling financially, look, we've had massive hits to our income. My income is because I speak around the world. I executive coach. I counsel businesses. I'm a business consultant now. We have a forestry business in Cambodia, which I can't visit. I'm not allowed right now to go more than 3 miles from my house.
Grocery.
Yeah. But then only one person from the household's allowed to go out and get groceries. We've got some funny rules right now in Victoria. There's still an opportunity there and saying, well, what's your plans?
Yeah.
You know about this.
Yeah.
You don't want us getting all upset. I don't think you want us getting into, into that place. So, yeah.
Yeah, that, resetting and reformatting and just really realigning again everything. And so even now we just declare in Jesus' name that their hearts will be encouraged, and that God's gonna really even talk to them in their dreams, right? That
Absolutely.
even if it seems like really what's happening is what's happening, the truth is God is on the throne. He is not shocked that this has happened. Actually, in fact, for me, I feel like this is like a wake-up call more than anything. Wake-up call.
I think he's bringing back what is important.
Yeah.
It's saying, well, okay, I'm locked at home with my family. Well, great. Well, let's have some family time.
Yeah. Woohoo! That's a lot of family time right now, which is really, So, if you know, for people who are, you know, like they're confused whether they're called for business, they're not called for business, would you have anything to say to that? Like, you know, there must be, especially those that have actually just graduated. Like, you know, I have a niece, she's brilliant, you know, MIT, she works for Apple, she's really like brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. But you know, after school, you know, you have to go and really think, okay, am I called for business or am I called for, you know, you don't know, right? How did you become a businessman? I mean, was it like out of what, obedience to the Lord, or you really heard the Lord, you do this, you do this, or you know, you just walk one day at a time and, you know what, this is what I like to do.
I worked out that I was not a good employee. So my alternative was
I need to know you more,
die or run businesses. When I consult to companies, and if I'm consulting and faith is on the table, because I'll ask the question, is faith a part of the discussion we're going to have? When I consult with them on that, they'll say, my business isn't running well. Okay, first question, did God say to do it? And they go, well, what do you mean? I said, well, did you ask God if this is what you're meant to be doing?
Mm-hmm.
And if you did and he said no and you're doing it, well, we probably need to readjust the goalposts a little bit.
Yeah.
And for your niece, you know, she's working for Apple, an MIT grad, fantastic. Love to hear those stories. But her calling may be to invent something in Apple.
Thank you.
So I know some guys that are extraordinary at doing business, but they couldn't be the business owner. And they have a role within a company, right? And again, what Romans 12:1 says, let everything you do be worship to the Lord, right? Everything you do, whether you're a policewoman, a policeman, a first responder, a lawyer, it doesn't matter, right? People talk about Joseph. Well, Joseph actually managed somebody else's money. So did Daniel.
Yeah.
Right? But they talk about the business of the marketplace and refer to Joseph and Daniel. Well, they managed other people's money.
Yeah.
They operated with God's grace for someone else.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, being the best employee is also really important.
Yeah. It's equally important than having your own business, right?
Excuse me.
Would you consider like having, I don't know, I think this is what I want to ask. You know, a lot of people will say, you know, this is me in the church, this is me in the marketplace or business, and this is me at home.
Yeah.
Who's you in those?
I'm the same in all of them.
Okay. Now, what happened there? Because before that happened, you was different in church, you was different in business, and you was, so what transpired? Because this is a secret, you know,
This is yeah. Can I do a shameless plug like that? I spent that is my. It's a crazy title. It says take your framework, stick it up your pipeline. Only an Australian can do that. But the bottom bit of the book says finding a new normal, right? Which was done before coronavirus and before new normal became a word. To me, 3% of Christians get their vocational income inside the church or inside ministry or missions. That means 97% get their vocational income in other areas of the marketplace. But I want to make sure that the person I am inside a church where I'm worshiping is the same person I am in the marketplace, because I'm a minister in the marketplace. People look at who we are, everybody, and say, well, do I want to live like that? I want to, when I'm under pressure, I want Jesus juice to come out of me. Like if you squeeze a lemon, you get lemon juice. You squeeze an orange, you squeeze me, I want to have Jesus juice. But I had to come to that place of saying that church and I love my local church. I love my local church. But we're actually called out into the world to be light wherever we go, wherever we are. And, you know, if people saw me doing, you know, the thing that drives me nuts as a Christian is watching some Christians that they pray for their staff, pray with their staff at 8 o'clock in the morning, and they're yelling at them at 10 o'clock in the morning. That doesn't make sense. We've actually got to live a life of excellence and above that. You know, and some of it was the changes in me that God wanted to do for me to be truly forgiven.
Yeah.
Right, that I had to walk through stuff. I did a lot of wrong things. A bit of vulnerability here, you know. Before I came to the Lord, so at 27, that I went searching for love in all the wrong places, and I ended up having an affair and cheating on my wife. I became a Christian. And God said that I needed to tell Jane, the first thing he said, I need to tell her about the affair. Now I'm thinking, well, this isn't much fun whatsoever. But I did, and then had to go through the process of forgiveness and healing. And Jane is an angel working around in a woman's suit, seriously. She forgave me. We had to walk through that. There was a lot of hurt and pain. And I had to understand that my actions influence other people.
Yeah.
So I had to learn. I've gone through that place of forgiveness, and living in that place of forgiveness is really important.
Right. Wow. That's hard. You know, business and family, right? You know, just balancing it. And I love that, you know, as soon as I invited you to come, the first thing you say is, I love my wife and I love my family. So how did you get into a place where you can balance it already? How did God teach you in that area?
That's a really good question. So a lot of people think that everything's got to be in balance. You know, if you're out building a successful business, there's going to be things that are out of balance.
Okay, that's good.
It's going to be out of balance, right? But then you've got to work where your priorities are. Right. Now, for me, I plan stuff. I sit and write down the things that we want to achieve as a family together. Like if we want to go on a family holiday, we'll start planning that and have as much fun in the planning of going, where do we want to go on holiday? You know, Jane and I have had the privilege now of traveling to 108 nations around the world. Right, so holidays, when my kids say, well, where do you want to go? It's like, oh. But so you plan something there. But with family, like if you look at sort of a quadrant type thing where you have family, business, or where you get your income from, because you might be an employee, and that's all right as well, community, and health, and your health's got to include spiritual health, mental health, and physical health. And if you write down objectives of what you want to achieve, I don't use the word goals, because as a man, for me, if I write goals, I'm going to run through walls to get them. I write objectives because it's a little bit softer and I can shift the goalposts on it. So I've just learned that I need to be drawn, not driven. If you put family at the center, everything else seems to work, because Jesus put family, God put family. You know, the three in one. It's based around family. And I believe now that I've heard the prophets, I've heard the voices of the prophets over the last little while, and they're saying the wealth of the wicked will be restored to the righteous. And as I've been praying through that, I feel that the wealth component that God's talking about in that is family. And I think there's a time of restoration for family that we have an open door to walk into right now. And as we restore family and we restore our love for one another, in John 15, he talks about our love for one another 22 times. Right? So if we can have that, we're going to build from it. So, but the balance question, it's always interesting. But it's, for me, it's making sure, like, booking time in. You know, some people would say, oh, the balance, I've got to spend 8 hours a day with Jane. Well, no, that might be 15 minutes, but it's time that you spend together and it's intentional.
Yeah.
But for Jane, it's more important to her of how I treat her than how much time I have with her.
Right.
Because I could say one harsh word to her and that could undo 8 hours together.
Yeah. I love that you can actually build from that, family, because, when you have that principle that, family is actually super important to you, when you have that principle in you, it builds up. So wherever you go, you always treat people to be a family.
Yeah.
It becomes a lifestyle for you. It becomes normal. I'll treat you as a family. So therefore there's honor there. There's love there. You think of them as one. And that's very, I believe that in the business world, that's important. That's because that's where, then you build love. You don't just build, money, and it's already there anyway, right? But, then there's no competition, but just like what you said, no competition, but just working together, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, when I talked about balance as well, is that I think for men, or even any person that is in career, it takes them a while to, it's so hard to be detached from whatever it is that you're doing, and you're just basically focused. We need to finish this, and you have that. And sometimes people are waiting for you at home, and oh no, they can wait, But what I'm saying with balance is knowing that, you can talk about it. Okay, guys, I'm busy right now. This is the season, like this and that. But unlike before, without the balance, you just don't care. They will understand. Doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
Communication and just, trying to go and encourage each other with whatever it is that they're doing.
Yeah.
So that's
and I don't think that's necessarily just for the men. You said men,
exactly.
but
Career women.
You were speaking of beautiful, powerful women, and they have careers or businesses and they're successful. And the same applies. That communication bit of saying, hey, we got a lot going on right now,
Right.
and
Right.
it's just that conversation of Jane was the most important part for my business thing, because she has this ability to discern. Like I'd go and look at some things and she'd go, I'm not sure you should be doing that. Of course I should. But this is going to be a good. And if I didn't listen to Jane, they were the business deals that went bad.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Very, very good Holy Spirit right there.
Yeah. And so I had to learn to involve Jane in those conversations.
Right.
Hey, what do you think of this? What's your thoughts? And she would say, well, give me a couple of minutes. I'll go and pray about it and we'll go and see. So, yeah.
So that's good. Let me inquire of the Lord first.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Can you imagine you and everybody is like this, right? Like, okay, let me just go and, be available with my family, or understanding of how to communicate with everybody. Wow, what a beautiful world where we honor each other and
and when you're with your family, be with your family.
Yeah.
Now, men's brains, generally speaking, we live in silos. Men, get out of that box and get into your family box and be with your family.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Don't just be there and then be in front of the TV going blip, blip, blip. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's funny because we're talking about business and we are talking about business family. At the end of the day, there's really no separation whatsoever, whatever we're doing. We're called to love. We're called to be best in what we do, huh, Hugh?
Yeah. Well, I think, one of the things that I've learned, I heard this statement from a friend of mine, Ford, was that if you want, we're all looking for those new ideas and those new things and that are going to just change everything. Well, I call it love unconditionally, forgive unconditionally, and be dangerously transparent. And you will see your life change.
That's good. That's good. Being so bold.
Yeah.
So, what would you say to because you know, owning a multi-million dollar, you know, business that you have right now, and still being so grounded and being so in love with God, I want you to go encourage men and women who are in business to really just, you know what, at the end of the day, it's the Lord that we need. I mean, can you elaborate on that, you? Because at the end of the day, honestly, who cares? You have business, you don't have business, you have this, you have that, you're, but God, it's
um,
ultimate.
yeah, the encouragement I would give to people is that that place of peace that
Right.
surpasses all understanding, of being in that place of being so in love with God that it will come out into their business.
Mm.
Right? It's um,
Oh.
business, missions, family, they're all intertwined. But
Mm.
to encourage people, I would say that there is nothing better than, well, actually, one of my other friends, a gentleman by the name of David Hodgson, um, he says the most valuable day in your business week is the day you take off and spend with the Lord.
Wow. Yeah.
Right? So he takes a day. Now, he's a multi-billionaire,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, and he takes a day off each week. I haven't got time to take a day off. And he goes, you haven't got time not to.
Yeah. That's
And he
great.
goes off on his jet ski, goes off, sets up a camp, and prays all day. No?
You see, that's that I love this, Hugh, because it's starting to change. I mean, this is, you know, my husband has been in the hotel business, so we've always been, you
Yep,
know, all you guys, right? But what I'm saying is, like, I'm just so encouraged to see that there's so many businessmen that has encountered the Lord, and they
yep,
don't deny it. You know,
yep,
that's different. It's so
yeah,
different, you know, because you know and you know. This is one thing that we both will agree. We
yeah.
know and we know we cannot buy peace, we cannot buy joy, no matter how much you have. Correct?
That's right. Absolutely.
And we find that in the real relationship we have with Jesus.
Yeah.
You're so wonderful.
Thank you.
Last question.
Sure.
Last question. How do you encourage people who have had like this swollen head because of pride, and all of a sudden they knew that it was pride? How can you encourage them to, you know what, just go back to the Lord? You know, how do you, as a businessman, they have been so big and then all of a sudden, bam, crash, and then, you know, to go back to the Lord and their identity? How can you, as a businessman, say that to them?
Well, I lived in that environment, as I said. And when I had our tech company, Network Neighborhood, when we sold that, so, you know, I was known places of, and we were number one in our industry. We were doing all of these wonderful things. And um, then when we sold that company, I'd be on a plane and people say, well, what do you do? And I go, well, I'm the CEO. Oh, actually, I'm not the CEO of that company anymore. And I realized that my identity was wound up in
Wow.
my title and who I did. And so my encouragement to people is that make sure you know the source of your identity. And your identity is that way. It's with God. It's not what you do or who you or the things you do or the things you've achieved. Your identity comes out of a relationship with God. And when you seek that, when you seek that intimacy, then the pride stuff breaks down. Right? As I said, I had a lot of pride. I knew there was a God. I thought it was me. Now, you
Yeah.
can't get much more prideful than that. It's a bunch of pride, right? But then I had to bring that back to a place of how do I get rid of those things? What were the things that were prideful in me? And and that was a prayer. Lord, teach me how to be humble, because if humility precedes wisdom, and wisdom precedes honor. That's all in Proverbs. So it's, Lord, what are the things around me that I need to change?
Mm.
And then it was also inviting friends, people that I trust, and walk alongside. And I would ask them, I'd say, hey guys, I know I've got blind spots. There's things I do that I do subconsciously. what sort of things can I improve on? How do I improve in being a person? And when you're vulnerable like that and you allow people into your world to speak like that, then you can't just say to them, well, I don't agree with you. You've actually got to do something about it.
Yeah, then you're safe.
Yeah, and when I look at it, I think I'm beginning to understand now that everything that I have is the Lord's anyway. So I'm sitting here as a steward of what He has blessed us with. So it's not what I'm doing, it's what He's doing. And I'm just grateful that He would use me.
Amen. Wow, that's big. That's big. So I know it was the last question. After that last question is the last question. Okay?
Sure.
What are you going to tell the 14-year-old Hugh now?
If I were able to change that, the 14-year-old Hugh would have been to get rid of the pride and the anger a lot earlier. Would have been to draw closer to God a lot earlier, to seek Him. Like you get an audible voice of God. What does that look like? That relationship is the most important relationship.
Wow. Yes. Amen.
Hmm.
I'm just so excited because we're talking about business, but you're just so full of the Lord. And I love that.
Yeah.
So if you could just go in, because you have the anointing, you still, you are off crisis. It's amazing how supernatural our God is, right? Because, everybody's so afraid and everybody's in crisis, but, there's always a protection that the Lord gives us. But can you just go and pray for an impartation for people who are called for business, for such a wisdom, and at the same time, just dedicate their lives to the Lord, right?
Yeah.
That would be very, very nice.
Okay, great.
In my hand.
Okay, so I just grab a little tool that I carry with me, if I may. We've got some keys that will unlock some things. So this key there is a key to economies and businesses. So Father, I just thank you for everyone who can hear my voice and everyone who is watching this screen. I thank you that, Lord, you have been with us through this journey. Jesus, we love you. We worship and honor you. Holy Spirit, we thank you for your guidance. We thank you for your presence. And Father, as I pray for everyone who hears my voice right now, I pray an impartation of the Holy Spirit. I pray an impartation of business, an impartation that would be done God's way, kingdom business, caring, sharing, and helping others to prosper. Father, I pray for a place where we would complete others, not compete with others. I pray, Lord, that you would just fall down on people. You would give the creativity. And Lord, with the keys you have given, I unlock the storehouses of heaven. And I open up in people's lives the inquiring mind to ask and inquire of you. Lord, you say in Jeremiah 33:3, inquire of the Lord and he will show you great and mighty things. So Lord, I ask that you would show people great and mighty things, that even in this time right now, it would be a time of creativity. It would be a time of new ideas. It would be a time of blessing and a time of flow that would come into people's lives. Father, I thank you. I thank you for your love for the people. I thank you, Lord, that you love the business person. You love the business person. Business was your idea. Business was your creation. And Father, you brought it to bring blessing to you. Father, I ask that you would, Lord, I pray right now for myself and for others that I will have the courage to be humble and the humility to be courageous. But Lord, that I would follow your word and your instinct. Lord, that you would give a greater desire to draw closer to you, to seek you and your righteousness, because Lord, all the other things will be added to it. Father, I thank you for everybody that has been on this call. I thank you that, that there is a peace and a joy that is coming on each person. Father, it's just the warmth that you have, the love that you have for people. Father, I pray that you strengthen people who are called to business. And Lord, those that are called to work in other people's business, that you would strengthen them as well. Lord, that you would rise up your people and they would live lives that bring you honor and bring you glory. Father, I thank you. And I thank you that for each of us, that we would be the miracle that someone else is praying for right now. Lord, that as we go out and reach into the marketplace, outside of the walls of the church, or even inside the walls of the church, that we would be the miracle that someone else is praying for. That we would be that voice or the touch or something that somebody else needs. Father, we thank you for your love, for your joy. Precious name of Yeshua. And the Holy Spirit. Amen. Amen.
Amen. Oh, sorry. Amen. I love it. We're gonna go and see more of you in our business seminar. So watch out for it. We're gonna go and let you know when it's gonna be. It's gonna be at the end of this year. So we're gonna have a little bit more of him in that time. Thank you, you. We love you already so much. You take care of yourself.
Thank you, Ruth. Really appreciate being with you.